Let's go over MLA formatting because it is important. So this will take you to OWL at Purdue, which is the online writing lab at Purdue. It's accurate and it's free, which makes it great. Here's a sample paper, and we're just going to go over the details. What's nice about this one is that every single one of these is annotated and color-coded. So the gray boxes, as it says, provide directions for writing and citing in MLA, and the gold box provide explanations of headlines, which is great. So on the very first page of your research paper and all of your MLA formatted papers, you put your name, then your instructor's name, then you put the class, ours is English 111, and then you put the due date of the paper. So not the date you're writing it, but the due date. And you write it in this kind of peculiar MLA formatting. So it doesn't say the 12th, you'll notice it just says 12. And then notice the title of your paper, which is going to be specific, is centered. It is not bolded, it is not italicized, it's not put in quotation marks. Notice that there's no extra space from the due date, there's no extra return, and there's no extra return after the centered title. It just goes straight down to the beginning of the first paragraph, which is indented. So MLA uses indentations to indicate the beginning of the next paragraph. And yes, you can use headings if you have subsections of your paper. And then on every page, this is on only the first page, but this information, your last name and then the page number, that appears on every page, and you have to insert that by using the header setting. All right, so notice the entire document is and must be double-spaced. It must be double-spaced because I'm really old and my eyesight isn't what it used to be, so I can't read anything if it's single-spaced. So double-space your document. Remember to begin each new paragraph not with extra spaces in between, but with an indentation. This is a perfect in-text citation. Of course, they're all going to be accurate. If you have a short quotation, if it's less than 4 typed lines, it doesn't go into block formatting. It is put into quotation marks. Notice there's no space between the opening quotation mark and the first word of the quotation. Anything that you have to insert into the quotation in order to clarify or allow the quotation to make grammatical sense, any change that you make to the original text must be put into square brackets. By the way, if you're ever eliminating text and you need to use ellipses to indicate that you've taken text out, do not put that ellipsis into square brackets. Don't do it. It's not MLA, it's an error. Then you conclude without putting a period, a comma, a semicolon at the end of your quotation. You just close it up and you give it a space. Then you open your citation, you open your parenthetical, you put in the author's last name, then there's a little space, no comma notice, and then the page number. And then you close it up and then you put the period. The period goes after the in-text citation in all circumstances except block formatting, which we'll talk about in a second. Now, the only 2 pieces of punctuation that you do retain within your quotation are the question mark or an exclamation mark. So if it's one of those 2, it does stay within the quotation, but you still put a period at the end, right afterwards. Okay, let's go down and look at a block formatted quotation. So there's a good example of a block formatted quotation at the bottom of page 5. Here's a paragraph. It begins with the indentation that is necessary in MLA. Then we have the whole of the paragraph structure. Here begins quite a lengthy quotation. It should go over 4 typed lines in order to require block formatting, but you'll actually notice that this one wouldn't have reached over 4 typed lines. So it's an interesting example. Everything is flush, but everything is indented. And notice in a block formatted quotation, the period does go at the end of the sentence. It doesn't go at the end of the citation, the parenthetical citation. This is the only time that the period is retained at the end of the quotation, and then the citation sits almost nakedly at the end. So you don't use quotation marks. You don't have to, because the formatting shows you. And remember, this first line doesn't have an extra indentation. It's not like the beginning of the paragraph. It just sits at this indent, and so does the second, third, fourth, etc. line. So it should be in a straight line. Don't indent the top line of your block formatting an extra space. So then let's have a look at an MLA sample Wørks Cited page. Notice that the title of the page is Wørks Cited. It's not Wørks Cited page, it's not Wørks Cited list, it's just these two words, Wørks Cited. It's centered, it's not bolded, there aren't extra spaces between the title, Wørks Cited, and the entries, but also the Wørks Cited page will always be a completely separate page. It'll be within the same document, but you have to put in a document break for when it starts. Now, Wørks Cited entries are always going to be in alphabetical order. If a source doesn't have an author, then you have to tell us where it came from, or you have to begin it with the title itself. Notice that this is an entire title, so it's of a large container, what MLA refers to as the large container. For example, the title of a chapter within this book would be in quotation marks, but the large container that holds the small container, the large container is in italics. So this is the title of the whole documentary, so it's in italics. It's not just a scene in the documentary. Also, this is clearly an autobiography by Lucille Ball about herself. Bronte Charlotte, we've got it, period. Jane Eyre, period. Edited by Margaret Smith, comma, Oxford UP, comma, 1998, period. Notice they're going in alphabetical order. BRO, BRU. And clearly this is not a Wørks Cited page for anything coherent, but you're noticing that everything on this page goes through the alphabet. And notice here we've got a last name, first name, last name, first name. And notice that the second author of this particular source does not have their name inverted. Only the first author has their name inverted. This is a book, clearly, because it's in italics. And this is an article because it's in quotation marks. And you never put both quotation marks and italics for the same citation. Okay, I think I've covered everything that is important in terms of MLA formatting. If I haven't, you can let me know about it.